everyone, this is Tara Adams with Adams Edge Marketing, and today I'm really thankful to have Mona Moore and Wendy Putler with Focus Web Technologies to join me to discuss what to consider when developing a website, and we're going to discuss all aspects that you might be thinking about. In a previous video, I talked with Nikki Milton about branding, and that conversation led me to talk with my friends here, Mona and Wendy, about what information could we give to people that are out there looking to reassess their online business. And the conversation that we had is what's led to this video that we're going to do today for you. Hopefully this gives you a lot of information that you can use to help decide what direction you need to go in, and if you need more information, to give you both resources and people that you can go to ask questions. So I'm going to start with kind of asking, we've got people that are kind of taking a moment to reassess, and they're looking at, maybe they have a website or maybe they don't. What would you say if, in either case, are important things that they should look at?
Right. So, Tara, thanks for having us, first of all. And I watched that branding video and I learned a lot. So that was awesome. So if you guys didn't watch the branding video, please watch that. That was great.
Good.
So when we first work with a client, they come to us and they say, hey, we need a website, or we want to redo our website. And we kind of step back a little bit and just ask them, well, what is the purpose of the site? What do you want it to do, right? What is the call to action? Is this going to be just an informational website, kind of like the old brochure style websites? You just have some basics on there. Is this going to be a lead generation website? Is this going to be an e-commerce website? So it's really, really important for people to kind of step back and really understand the purpose of the site. What do you want people to do when they get to your website, right? It's easy to, everybody knows they need a website, but it takes a little bit of work to kind of step back and really think about, what do you want the customer to do when they get to that website? So I think that that's kind of really, really important. We want to make sure that the website's easy to navigate. We want to make sure that it's search engine friendly. So all of those things we consider as well. But really the most important thing is to go back to the customer and make sure that we are meeting his or her needs. Right? We have to make sure that we understand what those needs are. And I think so many website designers just kind of go in and they start immediately making the website look beautiful, which is awesome. But we really try to take the time to step back and make sure that we understand what the customer needs. And even if we have to walk that customer through the process of understanding that for themselves. So I think that's kind of the first step.
I know that I learned from both you and Wendy the importance of making the website work for you. And so you can have a great website, but if ultimately people arrive and don't know what you expect them to do or don't know how to navigate it,
right,
it could be really beautiful, and it could be, have a lot of bells and whistles and still ultimately not perform. And so I really appreciate having kind of learned that from you and Wendy both. So,
and Wendy really focuses us kind of more. So I focus on that customer contact, right? And making sure that I walk through the customer and make sure really that customer is getting what he wants. Wendy on the back end, she kind of makes sure that the website runs as efficiently as possible. And I'm going to let her speak to that a little bit, because that's kind of the other half of this equation.
Well, even if you have a beautiful website and it has the call to action and customers are arriving at your website, if your website is not fast, your customers will leave immediately. Google will also not rank you very well if you have a slow website. So in addition to being concerned about what your website does and what it looks like, you have to make sure it's fast. You also have to make sure that it's safe and secure and private. Google is concerned with people's privacy, So that is going to probably affect rankings in the future. And there are laws being passed in other countries and in many of our states here in the United States about privacy. So you have to know what you're doing with the data you're getting and how long you're keeping it. And it needs to be usable, but that doesn't mean usable by just people who can see it. It needs to be usable, accessible to anyone with any disability. And that will become more and more important. If you make your website accessible, then it's going to be easier for everybody.
Yeah, there have actually been lawsuits about accessibility. We have a couple of examples on our website, I believe, Wendy, about those accessibility lawsuits. Some of the bigger companies have, been sued because their sites were not accessible. So we're really trying to work to bring that into our customers, so that they can see that as well.
I really appreciate how when you guys have a client and you're doing the website that you think of all the things that they don't. You don't rely on them to tell you what it is they think they need. You want to know what is the end goal they want, and then you are going to let them know, there's new laws on the way. There's all these different aspects that a lot of times you don't consider. And so that kind of brings up to mind, for simple sites, or is there certain sites that lend themselves to a do-it-yourself, like a Wix or a Weebly or one of those types of websites, as opposed to having a custom designed website?
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of DIY websites out there. And the ones that you named, I think are, just as good as any other ones. Squarespace is one that we've actually recommended clients work with. Wix, Weebly, any of those. I think those are really great for people that aren't quite ready to work with a custom design web developer yet. And we do send clients to those sites if they're just not quite ready.
But even if they go to a do-it-yourself site, they still need to keep in mind performance. They should test the site and privacy, which although those sites advertise themselves as being turnkey, you're done, they don't provide privacy statements for you. You still have to go talk to your lawyer or do what you're going to do to get your privacy statements and things that make your site legal and minimize your liabilities.
That's exactly right.
So, yes.
I was just going to say there's certain things that they miss. I mean, from my standpoint, SEO is a good aspect. I can't speak to Squarespace, but I know that Wix and Weebly, they've instituted some aspects, but it's not as robust as if you have a WordPress or a custom designed website that has the capability to really implement SEO in all the various areas that you can use it. And that's all that I can speak to, but I understand that you don't know what you don't know. So if you start with a do-it-yourself, you're kind of really putting yourself at odds if you don't have like almost a checklist to go through and figure out, do you have everything that you legally need to have, much less what would be a good customer experience.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think Wendy is probably more down on those sites than I am, because she sees all of that tech stuff on the back end, right? Those sites tend to be slow. Their coding is just really heavy. It's got a lot of extras and stuff in it. We can't get into the code to do certain things that we want to do. So I know Wendy is a lot more down on those sites than I am. I actually see the appeal for people that are just starting out. There's a huge appeal to something like a Squarespace, right? And that huge appeal is to be perfectly honest, is cost. Right. It is really, really inexpensive to get a website up, to get started, and to get rolling, right? So anybody can kind of, drag and drop content into a page. Super, super easy to get started, right? The disadvantage to those sites, though, is they are truly DIY. You can't call anybody for help. And like you were saying, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know to ask, right? So I think you just need to kind of weigh those things and figure out what is most important to you. There are some businesses just starting out that the most important priority is cost. And for those people, these DIY site builders are really like a godsend, right? Like they wouldn't be able to get on the web without them. So I think that's great for those people. But really, giving up is you end up giving up someone who can kind of talk you through, hold your hand, right? You give up the strategy, the knowledge, the experience of a web developer that has a lot more experience, right?
And
so
it's a true
you
investment.
have to know that. Yes.
It's a true investment to have not just a team of people that know and understand exactly what you need and what's going to set you at the right place. Once you do a do-it-yourself, in most cases, you can't take that content and just move it out or transfer it.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to copy and paste at best and still lose functionality in most cases. And
yes.
in addition, it's not a good investment. It's kind of like renting because you don't have anything after that. You have to start all over again. So that's kind of what I see from those. Like you said, they're not bad in all instances. For some people, they make a lot of sense if it's some like a temporary position, temporary kind of site or something like that. But if
or
this
beginner, a beginning site,
it's probably really good, especially from your standpoint, because they really get an idea of kind of how things have to function on a website, what you want the website to do, so they come better prepared when they need a custom design site. So there's that. But I would say if this is in any way an investment in a business for the long haul, I'm definitely just financially, it seems like it would make a better sense to start with a team that has your back and is going to help you grow along the way. So
yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things we really take pride in too. We really want our customers to succeed. So if they come to us, a lot of times customers will come to us and they will tell us what they think they want, right? And as we talk through it with them, we realize that they have an end goal in sight and they're telling us how to do it instead of what their end goal is, right? So if they can tell us what their end goal is, quite often we can come up with a variety of different ways to get there. Some a little bit less expensive, some have a lot more functionality, some are more flexible. So we really, really take the time and work with the customers. That's kind of one of the things that I think that Wendy and I really take pride in, is we want our customers to succeed so that they can, continue to come back to us and grow and redo their website and add functionality and that kind of thing.
I definitely see that with my clients, because a lot of them have gone to web developers, but the web developers are generally like, just tell me what you want. And they just give exactly what they're told. They don't really think or try to add anything more to that, or they're limited in their scope and they're trying to get the client to kind of just go along with what they can do, either with their tool set or their experience. And so again, you don't know what you don't know. And so they kind of get what they pay for, I guess. And then it's when I'm working with them and I'm like, SEO can only work if you have a really robust, a really nice website that can pull it off. And, I want to work with you. I think this is definitely how we get you to the next level. But, you're going to have to invest money in a website, in your foundation before I can even work with you. So I definitely see that and can appreciate a web design company that takes that in mind. Like, we just want to give you the best of what you want. We're not trying to tell you what you want. We're not trying to give you something else, but we just want to make sure you come away happy with everything that you need. And so that's why I've always really been, just admire the work that you and Wendy have always produced. Very happy clients and always a really good website that is very suitable for SEO purposes. A huge topic that we could go on and on about with the privacy laws and accessibility. But I know you and I had a conversation not long ago about how now more than ever, it makes it difficult to find like your cousin or your uncle or your friend that does it on the side creates a website for you, just because of the legalities and the liability now that is involved in both creating and having a website. Could you speak to that just a little bit?
Sure. The European Union recently passed a law that says that a user's data is theirs. And as a website owner, if you collect any of that data, you need to make sure that you aren't keeping it longer than you need it, that you give them a way to see what data you keep on them, and be able to delete that data if they ask you to. So once they fill out your form, you need to know what happens to that data. Do you have to delete it from your website? Do you have to delete it from MailChimp? Do you have to get it off your backups? Where does that go? So technically that can create a problem for website owners. Right now that's just a European Union law, but states are passing laws. Arizona hasn't yet passed a privacy law, but they do have a data breach law. So if you've collected information about your users and you have a data breach, you have to notify those people. Do you have a process in place to do that? And then for accessibility, if your website is not accessible, you may be subject to a lawsuit, because that's how in the United States laws are formed. So nobody knew for sure whether websites were included as part of the Americans with Disabilities Act or not. So people with disabilities brought forth lawsuits to make sure we get that classified. So not having your website accessible could be a legal liability on your part.
I think that's important because people don't really understand that. And I hear so many clients and non-clients that have websites say, well, I'm just, so-and-so, I'm not doing anything, or this website is just for fun. But those are exactly kind of the point that they're making is, accessibility is for everyone. And we want to be able to see, websites such as, Washington Post or any of these other big ones, but we want to see the ones that people are making. And it sometimes isn't a huge issue, but it's just being aware and knowing all the things that you need to add, either from the back end and for the customer experience or the reader experience, I guess.
For example, one of the lawsuits that I'm familiar with is a restaurant, a small little mom and pop restaurant, put their menu online, and they did so by taking a picture of their menu and putting the picture up, which is great. You can see their menu. Unfortunately, if you can't see, you need it to be read to you, and there was no text for a voice reader to read. So all they really had to do was put their menu in text on their website so that somebody could listen to it. So yeah, being aware is important.
Exactly. Well, goodness, there's a lot to consider. Again, I can't say it enough. You don't know what you don't know when it comes to websites. It looks easy. You probably know everybody around you that has a website. They make it sound easy, but it's easy because they either had the right people or they've spent a lot of money and they've gone to a lot of different web designers in the search to get the website they needed. So
Tara, I just want to bring up one other thing as you're kind of going into that. People do spend a lot of money for their websites. And I think that one of the things that they don't do, or they forget, or somebody doesn't tell them, is how they can really track whether or not that website is doing well for them. So that is also something that we tell our clients about. We encourage them to get it. It's a little bit extra, but adding Google Analytics and Google Search Console, that's kind of one of those things that if you don't know, you're not going to know how well your website's doing. So you could have spent, $15,000 on a website, and that person didn't tell you. You should probably have some analytics in there so you can understand, where's your traffic coming from? How much traffic are you getting? Are they filling out the form? All of those things. So even once you have a website, you still need to continue tracking and then improving on that. So that's, just another example of
you were preaching to the choir here. I cannot agree enough. I can't work with a client without we can see analytics as to how well we're doing. And so obviously,
and I'm sure there's a lot that you work with that they don't know. I don't know if we have or they assume they did and they don't, and right? I mean, they don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's very, I mean, I can't express how important that is to me. That's again, if you were to work with me, a content marketer, content specialist for you, I can't really do anything not well. I've had people try it, and I've just agreed I'll never do that again, because
Yeah.
you're just going on what you think happened, and that's not how digital marketing and content marketing works today. So
And you're really losing the main advantage you have of the digital world. You can
Right.
make quick changes if you know something isn't working, if you just have some basic analytics.
Oh
So
yeah.
you're just losing so much of that advantage.
Oh, for sure. I mean, again, I could talk ages about this, but just the ability to be able to dial in to your ideal customer who you're trying to reach by the data is invaluable, and it takes a lot of time out of the guesswork or trying. So yeah, I really appreciate the information you guys shared today. I appreciate it. I know that there's a lot more that we could share on this topic. We plan to have links below so that you can get more information, both from Focus Web Tech with Mona Moore and Wendy Putler, and on adamsedge.com with Adams Edge Marketing and yours truly, Tara Adams. And so I really appreciate it. And I hope that we can do this again.
Thanks so much. We really appreciate your time and talking to us.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.